Hello everyone, it's time for another edition of the Top 5 Most Missed Math Questions. Hello everyone, this is an update from last year's Top 5 Most Missed Questions on the Keystone practice exam. So last year I released Top 5 in data analysis, equations and inequalities, functions and geometry, operations and expressions. I'm not doing 5 more in each of those. I'm just doing the next top 5 that were missed across all those categories for my group this year. So let's go get started here on number 1. Samantha and Maria purchased flowers. Samantha purchased 5 roses for X dollars each and 4 daisies for Y dollars each and spent $32 on flowers. Maria purchased 1 rose for X dollars and 6 daisies for Y dollars each and spent $22. The system of equations shown below represents this situation. So we see the system right there. Which statement is true? Now, you see a system, you could go ahead and start solving right away. I would say you might as well at least look at the options here to see if that's the kind of information we need. It says a rose costs 1 more than a daisy. Well, if you remember from our variables, X and Y are the cost of the roses and the daisies. So we don't have enough information to know about A. And with B, Samantha spent $4 on each daisy. Again, that's how much each daisy costs. So it looks like, yes, we do need to solve this system of equations. Okay, so lots of different ways for solving systems of equations. This one is in good form to do either substitution or elimination. I'm an elimination person. I generally gravitate towards that most of the time. So if I look at the 2 equations, I'd like to take this second equation and make the x's line up. So I'm going to leave the first equation alone. I'm going to multiply the second equation by -5. I always like to make the signs opposite. So if I multiply this equation, both sides, by -5, I get -5x minus 30y equals 100 plus 10, negative 110. Okay, so that's our second equation. I'm going to copy down the first equation, 5x plus 4y equals 32. Okay, now I'm ready to add them. The way we designed it made a 0 here from our x's. Terrific. Negative 30 plus 4y is going to be negative 26y equals, okay, so 78, negative 78 is our constant on the other side. So now we're ready to go ahead and divide both sides by negative 26, and we get y is equal to 3. All right, terrific. So we got our y value. We can go back and plug it in to find our x value. I'm going to plug it into the second equation. Remember that if you plug it into both equations, you should get the same answer, and that's a good way to check yourself. All right, so x plus 6 times 3, we now know, is equal to 22. So x plus 18 equals 22. Subtract 18. X equals 4. All right, let's go back and remind ourselves what these represent. Roses for X dollars and daisies for Y dollars. Okay, so X is roses, Y is daisies. So it looks like A is true. Now, because I want to be extra super cautious, I am going to go ahead and make sure that I don't find 2 true statements, in which case maybe I did something wrong. So it says Samantha spent $4 on each daisy. Well, we said X is 4, but X is roses. She actually spent $3 on each daisy. That's our Y. So it's not that one. Samantha spent more on daisies than she did on roses. Okay, so remember, Samantha's equation is the first equation. So how much money did she spend on daisies? Well, that's 4 times the 3 right here. So she spent 12 on daisies versus 5 times 4. That's 20. So no, that one's not true either. Samantha spent over 4 times as much on daisies as she did on roses. Well, we just said she didn't even spend more on daisies than she did on roses. So definitely not true. That confirms it. It is A. All right, let's head on to number 2. All right, we've got a system of inequalities as shown below, and it says which graph shows the solution set of the system of inequalities. Well, yes, you could get out your graph paper and go ahead and graph these and then really match it to which one. And that would be a totally, absolutely great solution plan for yourself. But when we have multiple choice, I am going to go ahead and use that to our advantage. So I notice our 2 symbols here. They're not equal to at all. They're just one's less than, one's greater than. So that means neither of my lines in my inequalities is going to be solid. So B is out. C is out. A and D rather, sorry, A and D both have both lines in the inequality as dotted. Okay, so now let's look at one of the big differences. So if I look at this line versus this line, those lines definitely look different in the two pictures. So in A, the line is intersecting at -6, that's our y-intercept, and in D, a line is intersecting at +6. So if we go and look at our inequalities in the system, we have y is less than x minus 6. Yeah, that is this equation. Dotted line there, going through 6. The slope is 1, up 1 over 1, and we are shaded below. So that looks correct. There's no reason why we should have any graphs with a y-intercept at +6. So it's not D. We could go ahead and check this a little bit more. The other equation has no constant there, or a constant of 0. So yeah, it should be going through the origin, and it should be going down 2 over 1. So that's correct. Yep, it is definitely A. So use the multiple choice to your advantage. All right, the table below shows values of y as a function of x. It says, which linear equation best describes the relationship between x and y? The good thing to know is that they are all linear equations. So we're not looking at a situation where the table is changing by a not constant amount. Okay, so let's look at the change in y and the change in x. That's one thing that we definitely need to know. So from the first row to the second row, x went up by 15, y went up by 4. All right, when we do our change in y over our change in x, which is our slope, that's 15 over 4. Remember, always y on the top. Y goes to the sky. All right, I don't see fractions over there, so I could, divide this either on a calculator or you can know what it's going to be, but that's 3.75. 3.75 is the slope. Remember, in y equals mx plus b, that's the m value, so it's right in front of x. So they didn't really give us great multiple choice options to make us really debate this very long, because this letter b here is the only one with a slope of 3.75. Now, maybe just to be extra cautious, I'll check another set. Here it went up by 30 and up by 8. Well, 30 over 8, yep, that is 15 over 4, and that is 3.75. Yep, so that's going to be the slope each time. Didn't really even matter that we didn't even have to check the y-intercepts, because only that one had that right slope. If we wanted to check the y-intercept, so we could then use our y equals mx plus b and our slope and pieces of information from the table to figure this out. I call this the triple substitution. So in y equals mx plus b, I'm going to take one row. I'm going to go ahead and take the row right here. I'm going to put in 10 for y. We just said m. I'm actually going to, well, I'll put it as 3.75. 3.75 times x is 2 plus b. We don't know that. Okay, so 10 equals 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 0.75 is 1.5, so that's 7.5 plus b. And if we subtract 2.5 from both sides, we do get, 7 points. I was jumping ahead to the answer. If we subtract 7.5 from both sides, we do get 2.5 equals b. And that's, again, confirming that that's our y-intercept. And we are doubly sure that that is the correct answer. All right, our next example. A linear equation is graphed on the coordinate plane. All right, there it is. What are the slope and y-intercept? All right, we could look at the options. I might just go ahead, and this is so quick to look at this graph and see what the slope and y-intercept are. Y-intercept, where it crosses the y-axis. So the y-int is -2. Well, what about our slope? Remember, it's rise over run, y over x. So I go up 1, and I'm going over 4. And how did I know where to go up and over? I went from one place where it intersected nicely to another place where it intersected nicely. So y is on top, up 1, right 4. Those are both positive. So our slope is 1/4. Okay, let's see which option has that. A, slope of 1/4. Y-intercept -2. Oh, that looks like it. Just let me look around. Okay, this had the right slope, but the wrong y-intercept. This had the wrong slope. This has the wrong slope. Yes, definitely A. That's our correct answer. All right, next example. John recorded the weight of his dog Spot at different ages as shown in the scatter plot below. Based on the line of best fit, what will be Spot's weight after 18 months? Okay, so a line of best fit. We're thinking about 18 months. That's past our graph. Technically, this is called extrapolating when it's past your graph, so we're looking somewhere out there, versus interpolating, which is somewhere inside of the numbers that you already have. Doesn't terribly matter that you know those words. It matters that you know how to do them more a little bit. I don't think they're going to ask you those words particularly. They're going to ask you to perform their tasks. So to make a line of best fit, I'm just going to try to make a line that goes through all of these points evenly, kind of balancing them above and below. Find some straight edge. Draw yourself a nice straight line. I'm trying to balance it there, something like that. You could take the time to write an entire equation, but let's see if we can eliminate it from the possibilities from the multiple choice options here. So A is 27. Well, it pretty much looks like at 15 we're at like 27, maybe 26, probably 27. So it's definitely going to be higher than that. And if we look, 50 is way up here at the top, so it's definitely not going to be 50. All right, the next two, 32 and 36. Okay, so definitely estimating a little bit here, but I think it's pretty safe to assume that it's not going to get above the 35 line. It's going to be somewhere there in between 30 and 35. So I'm going to eliminate C and say B is the correct answer. Now, other things that you could do. You could look at the line of best fit that you have, and you could try to find what the slope is. And so I see like a nice point here. This is pretty close to on the line, and this is pretty close to on the line. So I went up, and be careful not to just say how many boxes you went up. Look at the scale. So I went from 5 up to 20. So I went up 15, and I went over. These boxes are 2 each, 2, 4, 6, 8. So I went over 8. So 15 over 8, going up about 2. It's not quite 2. So if I'm at x value 15, y value, it looks like about 27. If I want to know at 18, well, if I went up 2, I'd be at 17. If I went up 1, I'd be at 16, and I'd go up here, so I'd be at 29. 17 would be at 31. 18 would be at 33, and yes, we are estimating, but that's far closer to the B value, the answer, letter B of 32 pounds. So you could use all kinds of information like that to help you figure out what's going to be the best answer from your multiple choice options. All right, thanks so much for watching. I hope that these examples helped solve some of the problems that you might have been having with the Keystone practice exam. Thanks so much. Bye.